Hello again to all of you wonderful and fine people to the newest edition, to the 101st edition of my annual weekly series of the Weird Mind Newsroom, where of course for this week we have a fair few new releases to discuss, a couple of trailers too, and an odd news story to talk on and discuss about. So let's head into the information superhighway and talk about all things media that has come out for this week.
Alright, how much did you make last year?
In the first of all of our hefty amount of new releases for the week is taking us back to a film that was a sleeper hit action thriller from the mid-2010s that brought some action, drama, and a whole lot of numbers in the process. And after nearly a decade since the original release, we have received a surprise release follow-up with a sequel to The Accountant. The film will see forensics accountant Christian Wolf teaming up with a federal agent as a strange but highly lethal brother to track down and take down mysterious assassins and get revenge for their former associate who was killed by them. Now, reception of this new film has gotten some well-received reviews, with praise for its continued story as well as its action performances of the main leads of Ben Affleck and Jon Bernthal, even if some people feel it's kind of a bit unnecessary or feels a bit underwhelming in some regards. But if you want to see how the story continues on from the original, you can catch this new film out now in cinemas. The second film for this week is on in a sense of mystery, a bit of getaway with friends, and of course a mysterious unseen force or entity that unleashes on magical horrors and creatures on the group. You know, the usual affair when going on a May holiday or just trying to book a holiday in general, as you receive the final video game adaptation for just this month in particular, with a film that feels a little too loose in name, with a new adaptation of Until Dawn. The film follows Clover and a group of her friends who head off to a remote valley in search of her sister who had disappeared there a year ago. They are soon trapped in this location of a small cabin where they are horrifically murdered, only to find themselves back alive at the beginning of the same evening where it all began. Trapped in the valley, they are forced to relive the nightmares over and over again, with a different threat each time and more terrifying than the last, and must try and survive until dawn to escape the horrors. Reception on this film take has been a bit more of a mixed reception, that while praise and the performances and concept have been given for its approach, the film gets a little lost in showing so many different forms and genres and can get a little complicated, and also has a bit of a vague connection to the game it is based on. But if you want to see how these terrors unfold through the night, you can catch this new film title out now as well in cinemas. The last of the films for this week is one that's similar to another action-based film from a workhorse director last year. Is a new title that got a surprise sequel nearly a decade later, released a couple of months ago in the US with no indication of release in the UK and Ireland, and suddenly just shadow dropped in the release announcement a few days ago. Is a film of once looking to take each other down will team up to settle the score, as you receive the sequel to the 2018 action thriller of Den of Thieves with Pantera. The film will follow returning lawman Big Nick O'Brien, who finds himself getting embroiled in the treacherous and unpredictable world of diamond thieves as he pursues career criminal Donnie Wilson to Europe and soon teams up with them to plan a heist in the process. Reception of this new film has been a little mixed, but more of a positive outcome, with it being an improvement over the original with a more focused story and decent performances, but maybe a bit too similar to other action films of the past. But if you want to check this out for yourself, you can catch this new film out now on Amazon Prime Video. Moving on to TV for this week, the big series in focus has taken us on a trip to a galaxy far, far away, back to a period where a powerful enemy has taken control of the galaxy and rule with an iron fist. But amongst that darkness and despair, a small group of those that plan to go against that has started to form, and a possible rebellion and a symbol of hope begins to rise, with one of those being an icon that will help in a mission that will turn the tides of the conflict. As after a 3-year gap since the original season premiered, we have finally gotten the beginning of the second and final season of the popular Star Wars series of Andor. This upcoming season, of course, will carry on the story of Cassian Andor and the emerging Rebel Alliance, as it tells the season of the course of its next 4 years leading up to the discovery of the super weapon of the Death Star and the events that lead into Rogue One. Now, reception on this new season has received near critical acclaim, with it being called the best piece of Star Wars media in a long time, with it more serious tone and setting, performances, story, and action all being highlights. And if you want to check it out for yourself, you can catch the first 3 episodes now on Disney Plus, with another batch of 3 episodes releasing every Wednesday for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Moving to games now for this week is taking us on a journey of vast fantasy, a grand adventure, and a few big name voices present in this first new all-epic game of a game title, as we receive the release of the all-new RPG adventure of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The game is set in a dark fantasy setting of the Belle Epoque, where every year for the last 67 years, the inhabitants of an isolated island known as Lumiere experience events called the Grommage, where a goddess known as the Paintress paints an ever-decreasing number of her, and any human above that age suddenly disappears. To try and stop this from continuing the effects of this power complex, the people of the island send out an expedition of volunteers to head to the mainland in order for them to make an effort to slay the paintress before she can paint a new number, with this being the 33rd expedition to make it possible. Reception on this game title has received universal acclaim and is currently the best reviewed game of the year so far, with praise for its visuals, its combat, its story, and all-star cast of characters on this adventure that will leave you entertained and leave you spellbound. And if you want to play this for yourself, you can play it now on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. The next of the game releases for this week is a return to a game that came out a few years ago that combines the world gone to the apocalypse with the moral code from the gangs of Sons of Anarchy of survival, denim jackets, and motorcycles, as we are the first of 2 remaster releases for this week, with the first being a remaster of the 2019 PS4 title of Days Gone. The game is set 2 years after the pandemic that has turned a portion of the human population into zombie-like creatures, and set in Oregon, you play as outlaw turned drifter Deacon St. John, going on a quest to find out what happened to his wife who he assumed died back when the epidemic started, and learning of some secrets and building bonds along the way in the process. While there's been no reception for critics on this remaster, it seems to have garnered some decent reception from audiences on Steam and PS5, with some playing the game for the first time and hoping to have a sequel to the game that didn't get too much of a chance because of another popular Sony apocalypse story game that came out similar at some point afterwards. But if you want to play it for yourself again or for the first time, it is still available to play on PlayStation 4 and now available to play on PS5 and PC. And for the last of the games for this week is one that I expect to talk about in the trailers or even the news stories for this week, but this one was one that just came out of the blue with the biggest shadow drop of the week that was rumored for a while, had some leaks a couple days ago, and after the unveiling this week, they shadow dropped the release of a long-awaited remaster in the form of the updated take on Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Keeping the story intact to the original release 20 years ago, the game will take you place in the fictional land of Cyrodiil, where your player's character will have to focus efforts to thwart a fanatical cult known as the Mystic Dawn that has an evil plan to open vast portals gates to a demonic realm that is known simply as Oblivion. Reception of this surprise release has been getting some very strong reviews, with many even saying that it is to level up more of a remake than of a remaster, and a beloved reimagining of the classic with beautiful visuals, improved elements in gameplay, and the beloved story and all the trimmings that came with the original title. And if you want to play it for yourself, you can play it now on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. But it's not the last of the release for this week, as we do have one more in the form of a new album based on the musicians that I do like myself, so in most cases you probably don't really know too much in this aspect. And this is of course one half of NSP with his magnificent main, teaming up with a bros of acoustic tones, as you have the third edition of the Dan Avidan and Super Guitar Bros albums. This of course will be another batch of songs done in the vocal and acoustic tone, with a focus on a variety of tracks including the likes of The Chain, Separate Ways, Worlds Apart, Teardrop, Burning for You, and many more. And while I may not really know any of the songs by name, I'm sure with a bit of listen I will remember who made the songs and appeal to the sounds of them, and I for sure will be giving this a listen from some all new music. And you can too as well if you want, and you can listen to it through how you listen to music, or it can be purchased on their website in form of CD or vinyl format. And now with all of that, that's all the new releases that we do have for this week. On the first of the trailers for this week is with the focus that we have some game trailers for once this week, with the first dropping at the very end of last week or the start of this week, with a focus that when the terrors of the underworld have risen to the lands above or on a far distant planet, it will take a one man in a heavily armored attire to do one thing, that's of course to rip and tear, as we have received an all new full story focused trailer in the realm of the next entry of Doom, with the Dark Ages. Set as a prequel to the original 2016 title of the modern series, the new game will follow the Doom Slayer as he becomes the last hope for a kingdom being tormented against the demons and forces from hell, after initially being, I think, forced to do this by the demons themselves. And it's being set more in a more medieval setting to boot, to basically hack and slash demons and do some new cool things as well. So this series has always looks and plays great and functions so well at being a really great shooter, and from the looks of things it is going much deeper with its lore and so much more cooler with new weapons, its transformers like basically flying demons and mechs, and I do not need to be enticed more as I'm already locked in for this game. And it's not too long away either, as the game will be releasing onto PS5, Xbox Series X and S and PC in about 3 weeks time, from May 15th. And for our second game trailer for this week is making a return to an era of ancient lore, the time of warriors that protected the lands of China, Japan, and all the islands of the mainland. As after a 5-year wait since the original, we have a new trailer for the upcoming sequel of Ghost of Tsushima with Ghost of Yotai. And the plot for this one is set in Hokkaido, Japan in 1603, 329 years after the events of the original game, where you will take control of Atsu, a female warrior who will adopt the persona of the Onuryu, or I think it's the Ghost, to exact revenge on the Yotai Six, a group of 6 masked outlaws who murdered her family in her childhood, which consists of the snake, the Oni, the Kitsune, the spider, the dragon, and their leader of Lord Saito. Going on the footage of this gameplay and the deep lore and plot makes it look absolutely beautiful, and while I have not yet to fully finish Tsushima, I can already tell there's so much love and care that goes into this series, and I'm for sure the country will love and respect that's put into it as well, and I'm excited to try it out. And thankfully with this trailer, we now have the confirmation of a release date, with the game releasing onto PlayStation 5 later this year on October 2nd. For the next trailer is the only focus of a TV series and one of the big releases series still to come from one of the massive streaming services, as things are getting creepy and kooky, mysterious and spooky, and maybe a little oogie, with the focus turning to a specific member of the Addams family. As after a gap of about 3 years for wait and a new location filming change to my own home country, we have received the first trailer for the second season of Wednesday. The new season will see Wednesday's journey will become more darker and more complex as she will navigate family, friends, new mysteries, and old adversaries, all while propelling her headlong into another year at Nevermore Academy. It's an interesting focus and take on the world of these odd characters, and given it's the focus of the popular kid of the family, and building on the lore established in the previous season, and of course having Tim Burton back in the director's chair, in the creative chair, with his odd flair and unique spooky natures to the series, is all worth it for sure. But I'm intrigued to see how they will build upon the story in this one from the following season. Now I am sure we will find out more and have something exciting to look forward to when the series now has a release date hitting Netflix in 2 parts, with part 1 coming out on August 6th and part 2 of the season dropping a month later on September 3rd. As for our film trailers for the week, is we return to a series of horror films that we all have memories of the past that we can look back on fondly from different times of the year. But sometimes those memories or actions may have caused a knock-on effect, and those consequences have come back for some, for those now to deal with. As we have the 4th entry in a series of slasher films that is now getting the same name as the original film, like other franchises have, which makes sometimes difficult to discuss, confusing sometimes, you have to emphasize the date and stuff. As we have the trailer for the 2025 version of I Know What You Did Last Summer. The film will follow a similar story to the original of 5 friends inadvertently cause a deadly car accident and decide to cover up their involvement and make a pact to keep it a secret between them instead of facing consequences. But a year has passed and their past comes back to haunt them as they've learned someone does know what they did, and now, stalked by a mysterious killer, they seek out help from those that survived the original Southport massacre of 1997 and find a way to escape the torment. So it's a case I feel that it's a fair judgment to revive a series and see how a story could be retold in a modern setting as a legacy sequel to bring back some familiar faces from the original, which we'll have seen a lot of in the last 5 years, or last few years in particular, and while I can see the appeal, it's one that I can give or take with this series, but I'm sure people will enjoy this franchise over time, and I'm sure it may work out, but we'll see by the film's release in the cinemas from July 18th. And the final trailer for this week is with a focus on the franchise that has not 1, but 2 new films coming out this year, and after talking about the recently surprised animated anthology entry that's coming in a few weeks ago, that's on its way out in June, we have a focus on the big screen release film of the series, where we are used to seeing the Ultimate Hunter being the deadly challenge, but it seems in this instance they're the one outnumbered and dealing with a more serious threat in the process, as we have received the first trailer for the upcoming release of Predator Badlands. Now the film will be set in the distant future and see a young predator who has been outcast from his clan and outgunned against human survivors will find himself an ally of Thea, a young female android, and will soon embark on a long treacherous journey in search of the ultimate adversary and to help prove his worth with his clan and his tribe and his species. From the small teaser, I do like the approach that you're going with in this film, and it gives a bit of the narrative of the predator working alongside a human, like it was seen in Alien vs Predator. And I think with some elements, it's setting up a new one in the franchise, given the case with the android and stuff like that and stuff. But knowing it's being made by the same director as Prey, so there's a bit of hope that this franchise will be really cool, and hopefully it's as great as that last one. I know there's a bit of complaint or mockery about the predators, like this predator's face or something, but I get it probably has some story reasons and helps to make them stand out over the other designed versions of the Ultimate Hunter, which we've seen a lot of already, but I'm sure looking forward nonetheless, and you can catch this film when this film releases in the cinemas from November 7th this year. And now with all that, that's all the new trailers that we do have for this week. Ready or not, here I come, where you at, the night is young. Right, so moving on to the news for this week is a focus on the return to the world of some more casting news, as we have a collection of releases of casting that were some new additions, adaptations, and one that has been updated and confirmed from recent rumors going about. But let's delve into what those castings are in particular. So we'll start off with the one that had the rumored castings already over the last few weeks, and that is with the one confirmed casting we now have for the upcoming new adaptation of the Chronicles of Narnia from Greta Gerwig. Now, we have had a few names and odd choices already mentioned for this in the rumor field, with those being of course Saoirse Ronan being offered a role, which we don't know what that was yet, Daniel Craig rumored for the role of Uncle Andrew, and Meryl Streep as the voice of Aslan the Lion. And we've had one other rumored role, and that was with the villain of the Snow Witch that was initially rumored to be played by musician Charlie XCX. But it looks like that one has changed, and we have a confirmation of a confirmed actress for this particular role. Because on Friday of this week, it was announced that actress Emma Mackey would be cast as the titular antagonist for this adaptation, and was one of the final two frontrunners for this one, with the other being Substance star Margaret Qualley. Now, Mackey is not a new face for working with Gerwig, as she did appear in her last big film of Barbie and played physicist Barbie in that particular film. So it'll be interesting to see how she will play this role that was initially made for screen by Tilda Swinton 20 years ago in that original adaptation from Disney. Now, I'm sure we will start to see more and more of this film getting the announcement of cast additions for some rumored and some confirmed, but I'm sure we will see what big name talent will be making an appearance by the time the film starts production and releases in November of next year. But speaking of adaptations, our next project in focus is another film based on a popular book series making its debut also in cinemas next November, as well as this with the recent release of the newest Hunger Games prequel book of Sunrise on the Reaping. They'll follow the story of Haymitch's time as a tribute on the 50th games. Now, it's been seen a fair few casting announcements for some characters coming out of the main lead, also getting confirmed, and with this focus we have a few to discuss about, with the first being of course the main lead being played by Total Control Invisible Boys star Joseph Zeta, who will take on the role previously played by Woody Harrelson of Haymitch. There was also a few auditions of cast as well, with if we confirmed the same day of Gossip Girl and Hocus Pocus 2 star Whitney Peake playing Haymitch's love interest of Lenore Dove Baird. A day later, a third casting confirmed was Ghostbusters Afterlife's McKenna Grace playing fellow District 12 tribute Maisie Lee Donner, and the last confirmed cast on Friday was with Oscar-nominated actor Jesse Plemons playing the role of Plutarch Heavensbee, rounding out the confirmed casting so far. There is also a rumored one floating around that actress Ella Fanning is also being eyed for a role in this film, and that is the younger version of the character of Effie Trinket, the one that was played by Elizabeth Banks in the original series, but is not set in stone as of yet. So far, it's not a bad cast selection, that is some new faces with one or two familiar ones as well. I like the approach they are going with it here. And while I haven't read the books or know too much on the films, I can say this having an appeal, but I'm sure we will see by the time of the full cast reveals for this project and they start filming for this for its late 2026 release. And the last of the films in focus with some castings with a follow to a surprise hit horror comedy from a few years ago, which is with the sequel to the 2019 film of Ready or Not. And in this instance, we have a confirmation on the title, and the marketing team actually listened for once and took the opportunity to name it right by calling the follow-up Ready or Not, Here I Come, which makes complete sense to do so. Now, this also comes with a little roundup of the confirmed casting for this follow-up, with the confirmation that main lead of Samara Weaving will be back for the follow-up as her character Grace, but we also got confirmation of a couple of names for the sequel, with the confirmed to have the film including Lisa Frankenstein star Catherine Newton, but Vampire Slayer's own Sarah Michelle Gellar, King of Planet of the Apes Kevin Durand, The Fly's David Cronenberg, Elijah Wood from Lord of the Rings, and Sean Hannity from Southland, as well as Nestor Caramel from Lost. And it seems like quite the stacked cast so far. Now I'm interested to see what sort of messed up game will be at play with this follow-up. At the moment, this is all we know so far with the film, and it's currently filming right now with no confirmed release date for this project as of yet, but I'm sure once I do hear anything, I'll update in a later episode, of course. But what do you think of these casting announcements? Who else you see join these projects, and are you excited for any of these films in particular? Do let me know what you think down below. So our next story is with some focus of updates to a series of film adaptations based on a popular video game character that will see some more expansions coming, and then one that is a possible surprise reveal that has been announced just a few days ago. But let's delve into those projects right now, shall we? So let's start the focus of discussions with a film series of characters from a game franchise that could have failed hard from the initial first film and its design of the original character to where it's now has become a billion-dollar film franchise from the collective trilogy of films, and as of course with the franchise of Sonic the Hedgehog. Now we've seen over the last 5 years that there has been an array of focus on those beloved characters for the big screen with a trilogy of films, and of course a spin-off focus on the Echidna Warrior that released as of recording exactly 1 year ago today. And it seems to be a case case that there is no slowing down for this franchise, as we already know of a 4th film on the way in early 2027, but we also have some more news to expand on this lore, as it seems Paramount Pictures is looking to create a collection of spin-offs based on the world and characters of this series. Now, there has been a case that is one that was discussion for a bit of time now, was that there was a film spin-off for Tails which was in the works, which kind of makes sense to give him a focus project if Sonic has 3 films and Knuckles had his own TV series last year, and most likely the case because of the character's popularity and introduction into the 3rd film, we will likely see a spin-off focused on Shadow as well, and probably the characters unveiled in the post-credits scene in that recent film afterwards. Now, I do see a lot of potential with spin-offs like this for some of the characters introduced, and help even bring in some familiar faces, like even like a Knuckles film that introduces the Chaotix team of like Vector, Espio, and Charmio, among others, provide some difference of genres and styles. I'm not sure we could appeal and work out in the process. Now, at the moment, there has not been established of when or what we can expect with these spin-off releases, but I'm sure we will get more info on them in due time, and once I do hear anything, I shall update in a later episode. And as for the surprise reveal, if you remember back 2 years ago, and I think I even mentioned in my very first video episode of this series, there was a film that was released that was seen as a John Wick film set during the Second World War that proved to be a smash hit and acclaimed film to boot, and was probably seen as one-off film. Well, surprisingly, it's not the case anymore, as it was announced this week that we are actually getting a sequel to the 2020 film of Sisu. It's also coming out this year with a confirmed release for November 21st of this year, which was also quite a surprise as well. It seems they had filmed this over the course of last year and have another story to tell with this, and I feel it is cool as action-packed as original. I'm all for to check it out. Hopefully we'll get an idea of what it entails soon, but another John Wick style movie this year with Ballerina is always an appealing one to me. I look forward to checking this one out when it does come out in November. But what do you think of these announcements? What characters from the Sonic universe would you like to see get a focused spin-off film or series on? And are you excited for a sequel to Sisu? And what did you think of the original film in particular? Let me know what you think down below and we can talk about all that there. And the last of the focus stories is with some updates about a little bit of pricing and even a bit more some rumored power that I have heard about the initially but still anticipated release of the Nintendo Switch 2 console. Now, it's been a bit of a rough month for this long-running game company, as there was a lot of hype initially for the console and its release, but has seen a lot of dwindling appeal and many going against the company after the Nintendo Direct at the beginning of this month. And the whole price reveals of everything from the cost of the console and its own, the eye-watering prices for games like Mario Kart World, and the tech demo showing everything in the console has to offer, not being a free install and costing about, I think it's a tenner. But in the focus of this story is that we have gotten some updates and discussion about some confirmed pricing for the updated Switch 2 editions of the Switch 1 titles. Now, it's revealed from some retailers and from Best Buy in the States is that some Switch 2 edition games, like both Zelda titles of Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, will have an upgrade cost of $10, pounds, or euros if you own the original game on the first Switch, and for the games with added content like Kirby and Mario Party Jamboree, both of these will have an upgrade price of $20, £20, or euros, which I can see as being a fairly reasonable price and will help in some ways as not spending a fortune to buy the new versions and have a more cheaper cost. Not to say that every game will cost money, as is mentioned from what I've heard is that if you have a Switch Online membership, that there will be some games that will have free upgrades, with these mainly being like Mario titles like 3D World and Odyssey, as well as others like the recent Zelda title Echoes of Wisdom, Pokemon Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet, and ARMS, to name just a few, and likely will be updated over time. Now, I've heard, and may need to be confirmed if you own the expansion pass as well, apparently if you own it, of online as well, that these versions will cost money will also be free. So far, the Zelda ones are confirmed to be free in this particular instance. Likely case, I feel like it'd probably be a tenner for just the Kirby and Jamboree one. It might be half price, or a case with the maybe similar with the Zelda one, so also being free. But we need to verify that one for the others, and I think it'll make sense to do a free upgrade with this one online, like they did with the Mario Kart and Animal Crossing DLCs they did with the original console. It's still a case that my opinions on it are a bit here and there with this pricing, and still hoping Nintendo will fix this mistake and reduce prices to make it more manageable in a time where everything is way too expensive. There is concern of a financial recession on the way, and everything is not great, overwhelming, and not good for anyone's health, because my health is already fucked as it is, and this is not helping me here. And even when people in their own company or friendly competitors are saying the same thing, as well as excessive fans they have as well demanding for price drops, then I feel they will need to have a massive power. I feel if they do a massive power move between now and then of a price drop for the console and the games before release, and fix it all instead of raising prices, then we will see a lot more appeal and fan backlash come back, but some will still be a bit antsy about it. But we shall see over time over these next 2 weeks by its release on the 5th of June this year. But I want to know your thoughts in this regard. Do you think these pricing choices or updates, if you already have the console games, being an alright idea, or do you still feel as being a bit too pricey? Let me know what you think down below. With all of that, that's all the news that we do have for this week.
Hello, hi, I'm so happy to see you.
And now with all of that, that ends episode 101 of Weird Mind Newsroom, and I do hope you enjoyed listening to my ramblings for probably a case of this instance, probably 20-30 minutes. It's usually around that same price of stuff. But anyways, let's talk about some updates that we do have coming up for the channel. Right, so basis on reviews, I've done a little bit more on like writing up the Last of Us Season 1 review. I'm gonna try and hopefully get it done this week. I've just not been really overly in the great mindset the last week. Been dealing with a lot of stuff, so just apologies in the case I'm delaying that stuff, but hopefully we'll try and get more of it done this week and hopefully have it written up and then maybe record in the next couple of days afterwards, but we'll see. I'm also looking at case I might look for the list of reviews I have and do like all the short ones, like just do a fucking barrage of them just all at once, like just in case, like seeing which shorts I can do now between 1 minute to 3 minutes, or like the maximum length of time now is 3 minutes on YouTube Shorts, so I might do that in case and maybe upload to like socials and TikTok, but we'll see in that regards. So we can look forward to them, and in the case instance, thank you for supporting the patience in those regards as well. But more long form stuff and other reviews will be coming as well, and everything that into the instance. So yeah, then gameplay wise stuff, I have recorded the first part of Star Wars Outlaws, and I also not bring point as well that I want to make acknowledgement is that apparently I look like the main antagonist from the Outlaws game. I was playing and I was like, that guy looks like me. Question, when was I in a Star Wars game? But besides the case, that one should hopefully be uploaded either before this episode drops or probably a day or two after this episode, but we'll see in that regard. I will get around to recording more Star Wars episodes, play more Cyberpunk, play more I Wonder, I will finish the Outlast DLC, I will do all the other bits and pieces and other consoles and games as well to play, but I will get around to them in due time, so look forward to more games and stuff coming along as well. And on the basis of some long form stuff as well in that regards, I will have the long form video about the AI audience choice video that I promised someone that I will do. Just that one's going to be a working progress. It's going to be a big one. I want to make it like case them covering everything from like just the use of AI and the dangerous stuff from like, you know, social media, film, games, shows, as well as maybe even like just using AI chatbots kind of stuff. We'll see how that goes, but I'm working on it. As well as the case of the rewatchathon, I'm going to get back to like properly doing that one as well as some other stuff like Horror Most Bore and other bits and pieces. They are coming. I just case instance that like mental health's in a fucking chokehold, so case instance that's probably why I delay of procrastinating and just trying to like, you know, take care of myself and recover, but it's been all over the place, so yeah. Anyways, I'm probably going to leave the episode there for now because I rambled long enough and my throat's hurting me. If you enjoy the content and want to see more from me more frequently, then simply like and subscribe. I upload new stuff every single week, of course, and we're aiming for the 2-year anniversary of 500 subs. We're about 370, I believe, right now. I'm not 100% sure, but I think we're around that point. And hopefully we'll reach by then in 1k subs by the end of this year. But we'll see. I'm not making hopefully like even close to it. I appreciate every single one of you for joining. In the case like new people, OGs people, and people that either like, you know, are here or leave or come back, they're always welcome. Everyone is always welcome. If you decide to leave and come back, it's totally fine. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and everything that was discussed as well from this week down below. And as always, you all stay being wonderful people, and of course, you know, have a great day every day, doing many great things and keeping you because no one's do what you do. And also take care of yourself because, you know, things can be crazy and mental health can be fucked, but keep going, just even when things seem dire. But anyways, I've been your host, Sam. I shall see you all in the next episode. So take care. I'll see you later.